Hey everyone! Welcome back. I am back today with the season 1 finale of Mob Psycho 100. You guys, I am so excited. If you're joining me early today, you know what it means. It means you are one of my awesome patrons. Thank you so much. And as always, you know I'm sending you up those big old hugs right through that screen. And if not, still thank you for joining me today. I'm glad you're here. I do hope you'll consider supporting me that way. The link to my Patreon is going to be in the description down below. So, we had a pretty action-packed episode last time on Mob Psycho. There was so much that I loved about the episode because we had the very precious, wholesome reunion between Mob and Ritsu, which I loved. I love the way it was done. I love that Mob just had there was just no animosity on his part. And we knew there wasn't because he reacted to the comments from from Ritsu in a way where, like, he really understood where he was coming from and he felt sorry. You know, we know there wasn't like a lot of animosity on his part, but just like seeing Ritsu tear up and just, oh, it was beautiful. I loved it. I loved it. So as you guys know, I was pretty worried that maybe Reigen was like an evil mastermind. I was pleasantly surprised that no, he is just an epic boss. He's not their boss, but he is a boss. I love that, and I said this a little bit in my last reaction, but I'll reiterate it. I love that he really does genuinely care about guiding Mob. And really, like, we saw him even trying to guide some of the other, like, people in the organization, like, trying to convince them to stop committing crime and everything. And, I mean, it was almost kind of silly, the way that they did it. But, I mean, he really does genuinely care about, like, people doing right, you know? It's really hilarious considering, like, his profession and how he goes about his profession, but he does have, like, a lot of scruples about the way that he does things and everything. It's very admirable. And so we had in those final moments of the last episode, basically the kind of tug of war with Mob between Teru and Reigen. And Teru saying, come on, like, we really need your help to just put these guys away already. We need to get out of here. And Reigen saying, no, it's not worth it. Like, there's once you don't want to, like, cross that line, you're going to end up hurting yourself more than anyone else, which really speaks volumes about Reigen too, because he really is, his utmost concern is about Mob. I mean, he cares about protecting order and everything too. Like, we saw that with the way that he dealt with the other Claw members, but you know, he genuinely has Mob's best interest at heart, and he really is trying to guide him. He's trying to be a mentor. He referred to himself as, like, their acting guardian, you know. He does take it very seriously, his role in Mob's life. And it occurred to me in the last episode that, you know, you could say, okay, because my first thoughts seeing him and Mob were like, oh my god, he's absolutely using this kid and snowing him and, like, using him in his business. He does, you know, use Mob's powers in his business. That is true. But if that was all he was really in it for, he would have told Mob to just go ahead and use his powers to get them out of that situation. You know, if he were that really selfish and cowardly, he would have just used the situation to his advantage, to get out of danger. So he is so impressive. I just love him. And of course, we all know how the episode ended. He was slashed in the back. I don't know. It didn't look like he was impaled or anything. I want to say you could live from a wound like that, but then, like, he wouldn't wake up. So I don't know what's going to happen. I honestly don't know what's going to happen. And the kind of outro that Mob gives during that end credit scene sounded ominous. So I honestly don't know. But what do you say? We jump in and we cap off an epic season of an epic show. Let's do this. All right, you guys, that was so fun. I loved it. Oh my lord, I would not have guessed that it was going to take that turn. I had a feeling maybe Reigen was still alive, but I mean, I never saw it coming in a million years that he would get Mob's powers transferred to him and just go on an epic invincibility slash talking reality into people spree. That was so. There's something I want to point out about that that's really beautiful. On the surface, just talking about powers, you could say, okay, well, he was able to reach Mob in a place where all that energy that had built up from him about to explode had to go somewhere, and it went into Reigen. From a little bit more of a metaphorical, emotional point of view, how beautiful and profound is that? That all it takes is words to, take a situation where you feel like you're at the end of your rope and just diffuse it, and I love that through his words, not only was he able to help Mob, but Mob was able to help him. There's a lot in there about like the importance of how you treat others and empowering others, and I just think that's awesome. I love how like with Mob's powers in general, there's something about them that you can either look at them as like, oh, this is an ability, this is like, you can look at it as just the surface, or you can dig a little bit deeper and read a little bit more into it about what it says about his thought process, his personality, emotions, etc. That was awesome. Oh my god. Seeing Reigen just like talk reality into everybody. And it worked. Like they legit decided like this was not for them. There was a big theme running throughout about like taking responsibility for yourself, and we saw it again when Ritsu is with the student council president, and they decide they're gonna come forward and take responsibility for what they did. I find that really interesting. Again, it's like you can take this all kind of at face value, or you can read a little bit deeper into it. So good. Oh my goodness. Powered up Reigen. And so he has retained the ability to see spirits, which is really cool. And it does kind of, between that and the fact that Dimple is helping now, it does feel like a little bit of the just responsibility is taken off of Mob for doing everything, so that was a nice little way to balance it out as well, I think. I love how we have the scene at the end with the spoons, and it's the same exact scene, only this time Ritsu is able to get in there, and yes, he's able to get in there and really use his powers too, but even more so than that, they understand each other on such a much deeper level now. I just love it. I absolutely love it, how they brought everything so full circle. Mob's still trying to be in the body improvement club. I love it. So, the one guy that they framed took a very interesting turn because, instead of being mad at them, which understandably he knew what they did was wrong, but he already knew that he had been set up. And what he took away from that was that people were rooting for him to be taken out of the school before he was set up. And he decided to look within himself and make changes that would impact his overall life, instead of maybe kind of writing off that one experience as an experience that changed his life so irrevocably that, he now was going to go down a path because of that, which is kind of what they were saying with the claw people earlier too, was like they had suffered these terrible things, but at the end of the day, with the way that Reigen put it, is like us all being, you know, whether you have psychic powers, whether you have BO, whether you have this, whether you have that, we're all just kind of same. It's all just kind of traits. And again, there was kind of that big undertone of like, you know, taking responsibility and making changes in your life for the positive. So I thought that was really cool. So Dimple's back now, which was right. So they implied that like Dimple ate all the other spirits because he burped, and we know it was like a melee when he got in there. Okay, let's talk about the boss, because I'm going to infer that individual we saw in the car was the actual boss, and the redhead was his son, who had really, I knew that was BS, that like he was an intern. I knew there was something more to it, but I didn't imagine he'd be like the boss's kid, sent to kind of scout out, you know, what was going on and do an inspection. That was very interesting, and interesting that he would like. The fact that they focused on that a little bit makes me wonder, like, what was the real meaning of that, and what exactly is that all about, that he told Mob he was disappointed in him, he was a coward. Did he mean because Mob wouldn't use his powers? Or is there something more to it that we're gonna investigate a little bit later on? Either way, it's got me pretty excited for the second season. So yeah, we set up a bunch of things for season 2. Let's talk about season 1. I loved season 1. Again, you know, I said this a few episodes ago. You know, those first episodes, the first 1 or 2, I was just comparing everything to One Punch Man, and so quickly this became its own thing. The visuals, the style of storytelling, just so quickly became unique, not only compared to One Punch Man, but compared to so many other shows. Just really set it apart that like I was no longer making those comparisons, like very, very quickly into the show. I love what I talked about a little bit earlier with the face value of the show being a very interesting, well thought out plot, but there being really great kind of layered messages within about life and emotions and the way that people live their lives and choices that you make and so on. I really love that. Have I mentioned Reigen's a boss? Because he just totally won me over. And I'll tell you what, from like day one, I was like, I really didn't know what to make of him. And he just so completely won me over. It's just not even funny. I love it. I loved Ritsu's arc. I love how they set up Mob and Ritsu to kind of be, you know, sort of the grass is always greener, but then that's not really the route that they took. On a typical show, you would set that up and there would be jealousy between them, which it really wasn't. I really get more the feeling it was just admiration on the part of Mob, not even so much like jealousy or envy or anything like that. But then like to have Ritsu awaken his powers kind of did away with that. And then they kind of make you think the powers are going to corrupt him. But that doesn't happen. What ends up happening is a genuine understanding of the other's feelings, which I think was awesome. I love how Ritsu came to understand that, like, Mob has been, it's been driven home to him, this rule to not use his powers to hurt people. And you know, Mob finally realized how Ritsu felt, which probably was hard for him to see when you're looking at someone through the lens of, wow, he can really do everything I can't. It was just a very interesting setup and a very different direction taken with it. I knew in the end they'd probably end up, you know, coming to an understanding and getting along, but the kind of the route that we took to get there was really interesting and well done, and I wasn't expecting it. Teru helping out the other kids and training them was great, you know. We can see a lot of change that took place in him over the course of the series. It wasn't as focused on, but if you look at where we met him and where he is now, I think it's safe to say that Mob and Reigen, seeing Reigen in action really had an effect on how he sees his powers as well. Dimple was great. Dimple's just fun. I'm just glad that Dimple's there. Reigen, I already talked about him. The Body Improvement Club. I love them. Again, that's a situation where you take that and like, those should have been like the kind of a-hole kind of jock guys, and they weren't. They were so good and pure. It just really goes to show, you know, you can't kind of judge and categorize people in that way. So who would have thought that, like, A, he would join them, B, they would be such a good influence. It was just a really nice twist. So yeah, I loved it, guys. Once again, you have not failed me with your recommendation. I'm very excited to jump into season 2. I see that there's an OVA here. I'm not sure if I have to watch the OVA, or if you guys want me to watch the OVA, or if it has to be watched before the next season. We'll get that all sorted out before I move on to the next season. How does that sound? All in all, I loved it. I had a blast. Oh my god, Mob is best boy. You guys told me when this started, like, he is best boy, and you were right. You were so right. But I really love all the characters and the way that they fleshed them out. It's been really fun. So yeah, let's learn more about Claw. Let's jump into season 2. I can't wait, you guys. I had such a blast with this season, and I can't wait for more. I hope you had as much fun watching it with me as I did experiencing it all for the first time. So thank you so much for joining me. Please be sure to join me next time for season 2, and we will watch it together. Bye for now, guys.